Welcome back, one and all, boys, girls, men, women, and everything in between. Today, Nathan Bell's going to give one of his awesome commentary videos to you all again. And today, he wants to talk about Julian Assange.
Yeah, well, Julian Assange is a journalist, and the role of the journalist in society. In liberal democracy, traditionally, we afford journalists the right to investigate the state as independent actors. So the journalist's rights as an independent actor to investigate the state and to expose crimes committed by the state and also by corporations and other bodies, that's an extension of our freedom and our right to challenge and to oppose authorities. So, traditionally in liberal democracies, journalists are viewed as the regulator. So it is the idea that a citizen has the right and also sometimes the responsibility to regulate the state and other bodies to ensure that they are conducting themselves acceptably. And you don't need a qualification to be a journalist. Most journalists have a journalism qualification, but anyone can be a journalist. And the reason anyone can be a journalist is because it's an extension of each citizen's right to challenge and to oppose authorities, which is an important principle in our society. So journalists are their whole role is to report on corruption and to expose corruption, which is exactly what Julian Assange has done. He has exposed crimes of the US military and the US institution, the US government, and he's been imprisoned for it. So have we forgotten the importance of journalism, the idea that the community self-regulates? That's what it's all about. It's all about the community self-regulating, and the journalist is an actor within the community, helping the community to self-regulate corruption. See, it must be the case that the American government feels that it's beyond question and that nobody has the right to bring into question the behaviour or conduct of the US government. And that's the first step towards fascism. When the government starts to say, oh, nobody can question our behaviour, nobody can question our conduct, we're perfect and we never do anything wrong, that's the first step towards fascism and authoritarianism. So what's happened with Julian Assange being treated as a criminal sets a bad precedent for the community's right to defend itself, because it's all about defence against corruption. So the community needs journalists to defend the community against corruption through exposing crimes committed by the state and other bodies. So when we start to imprison journalists, who are our regulators, then we're moving towards a situation where nobody can keep the government in check. And it seems the US government feels that it's beyond being kept in check by the people. The power has to stay with the people, and that is the role of the journalist as the independent actor in society who exposes crimes. The power is with the people in democracy, and that's why we have journalists. So, it's a bad precedent that Julian Assange is being treated like a criminal by the real criminals for exposing crimes that were in the public interest to know. The public has a right to know what their tax money is being spent on, and the public has a right to know when the government and the military is acting out of line so that we can self-regulate. And the real criminals are the people committing the crimes that Julian Assange exposed. So when are they going to be punished? They haven't been punished. Julian Assange has been punished for showing them for who they are and for showing people the truth, and they aren't being punished for what they've done. So it's become this lopsided thing, and this is the way the world is going. States are in the West, states are taking more control and denying the right to challenge. And this is definitely happening in Australia as well. The Australian government is getting stricter on protest, stricter on people who attempt to expose crimes of government, and it's happening in America, and it's fascism emerging in the Western world. We are seeing the emergence of fascism and authoritarianism, and we're forgetting important principles which have ensured the proper conduct of our society for years. The self-regulating society is what we're supposed to be, and the people and the community regulates itself, and journalists are the key role in that. Journalists expose crimes, and it's the same as when the AFP cracked down on the ABC for exposing war crimes and for investigating war crimes committed by the Australian military in Iraq and Afghanistan, and then the AFP came in and raided the ABC. It's another example of how we're denying the community the right to self-regulate, and we're denying journalists the right to regulate the government, and we're saying no, journalists don't have that right anymore. It's not acceptable. It's absolutely crucial that we have independent actors who can regulate the state. And that's why I like citizen journalism, because it gives people in the community the ability to investigate and to challenge the authorities. So we need to be able to investigate and challenge the authorities. And I always had this fantasy for many years that I would start a company like WikiLeaks, where we would investigate the state and we would expose crimes. And this is free media. As I said in my talk about free media, it's supposed to be a principle of our society that people in the community can start a media firm and then begin investigating, and that there aren't any major rules preventing that from happening. And that's exactly what Julian Assange has done. That's why I'm confident Julian Assange would believe in free media, because his company is a free media company, which he established, WikiLeaks, to investigate crimes and to expose crimes. And it's supposed to be a principle of our society that we have this right to do this, and it's being taken from us. And it's an important principle that allows us to protect our society against corruption and authoritarianism creeping in. But authoritarianism is creeping in Australia and in America and in Western nations, and it's a very scary thing. And it's absolutely on display with what is happening with Julian Assange. He exposed crimes. The criminals that he exposed should have been punished. Instead, he has been punished. So it's just not on, and it's just not acceptable. So there's some of my views about what's happened with Julian Assange. And in a month or two, I'll be releasing a song performed by Ezekiel Ox called Right to Know, which me and Michael Makakatic wrote the lyrics for, owner of Reliability, and Ezekiel Ox has written the guitars, and that's about Julian Assange, and I'll be releasing that onto my YouTube channel in a month or two. So check out Right to Know when it drops, and stand for Assange's freedom, and let's bring him home. So drop a comment in the comment section about your views on Julian Assange.